making a video, just do that thing where it takes a bunch of pictures.
So everything you just said's on the video now.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, video people that are watching.
Well, it's for Bella. Okay, so third-person omniscient narrator for the Wounded Wolf. Notice the plot pyramid on page 33. The rising action is much longer in this story. So it takes us longer to get to the climax of the story than it would in some other stories. All right, so Toklat Ridge is where? Where is Toklat Ridge? Brady?
Near Shelter Rock.
I'm sorry, what?
Near Shelter Rock.
Near Shelter Rock, okay. But do you guys know where it is? Like where on the globe? Where on the map? Would you be able to point to a map of the world and tell me the vague sort of direction as to where it is?
I think I know where it is.
Where is it? Where is it?
Maybe Alaska.
Maybe Alaska. Why don't you read the blueprint for reading, please? On page 32.
Yeah.
Canada, Alaska.
Canada and Alaska, yeah. Denali National Park is where it is, and Denali National Park is in Alaska. In Alaska, there is a family of wolves in Denali National Park called the Toklat wolves. Scientists will name packs, and then they'll tag them so that they can kind of follow them and see where they go. And so this particular group is called the Toklat wolves. Now, scientists have been studying this pack of wolves since the 1930s. So this pack of wolves they've been a pack of family for, as far as scientists are concerned, for almost 100 years.
Wow.
So obviously wolves don't live that long, so the leadership of the pack changes and the composition of the pack changes. But this pack of wolves has been a pack of wolves, that we've studied for almost 100 years, which I think is actually really, really cool. Wolf families are called packs, which you guys probably already knew.
Yeah.
Wolves are really interesting to me because we know that dogs are related to wolves, and that probably people started kind of domesticating wolves or foxes, or coyotes or whatever, and then started breeding them for different characteristics and stuff. So we know they're closely related to dogs, but they're not. It's illegal to own a wolf.
Aww.
In fact, I believe in Oregon it's illegal even to own a half wolf.
A what?
Half wolf.
What's
So
that
like
mean?
That's
a half wolf and half dog.
That's stupid.
Can I own a coyote?
Because wolves and
No.
no, you can't. Wolves and dogs can actually breed successfully, and it's illegal to own a half wolf. I think I would actually have to find that
I
out.
want to.
Now, in a wolf pack, there can be a male leader or a female leader. But the leader of the wolf pack is called the what?
Alpha.
The alpha. That's correct. Alpha's just the first letter of the Greek alphabet.
Isn't like the
but
weakest, like the run?
Beta? Isn't the beta the second?
Beta's second, and Omega is usually like the weakest wolf in the pack. Wolves communicate with each other in a lot of different ways.
Like body
Yes.
language?
Ears, tail, and
Body language?
Body language and by sound. Just really fascinating. I want you to think about the struggle that a wild animal goes through every day just to stay alive.
We're
That's kind of...
We're like sitting in our warm beds watching TV.
Uh-huh. And they're out there scrounging. Yeah. Well, it's true. It's true. And I think this story is kind of a really cool, what if? Like, if an animal were thinking, if an animal were could talk like a human, what would they say? What would they think? What would they do? And this is kind of a cool... Yes?
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, yeah. Okay. All right. So, there was a wounded wolf, and he's climbing Toklat Ridge. The wounded wolf's name is what? Talon?
Rocco.
Rocco is correct. Rocco. How was he wounded? How did he get hurt?
A moose or elk.
Well, actually, you're very close. Not a moose or an elk, a caribou.
Yeah.
But yes, that. A large antlered animal. Have any of you guys ever seen a moose in real life?
I think
no,
so.
but I've seen pictures
Maybe.
from my uncle.
Yeah.
They are ginormous.
I've read
My
a book
son
called-
lives in Wasilla, Alaska, and they have moose there.
Yeah, they're
And one day his friend, she was coming home and she was living in a little cottage on the property of some other people that they go to church with. And she was in her car, and between where she parks and her cottage, there was a moose.
I've read a book called
She
Peter's
could not
Moose.
get to her cottage because the moose was there, and moose will kill you. They're very dangerous. And it's, basically bigger than her car. She had a little car, a little SUV, and the moose is bigger than
Smart
her car.
car?
No, she had a little SUV, like a little Ford Explorer, like a little Ford Escape or something like that, like a small SUV, and the moose is bigger than her
Ford,
car.
yeah.
Floor.
So,
Well, the kick it.
moose are scary. Elk are scary. I know we've all seen elk because there's that field on Highway 30 that herd is always there. You know how big those are, right? Moose are even bigger. Caribou are bigger than elk. Caribou are kind of in between elk and moose as far as size goes.
I've read a book called Peter's Moose.
You've read a book called what?
Peter's Moose.
Peter's Moose.
It's a good book.
Okay, I will take your word for it. Okay, so a caribou hurts him. Who is the leader of the Toklat pack? What's the name of the wolf that's the leader? Brady?
Kiglo?
Kiglo. Kiglo is the name of the leader. For third person, just looking on the first page, can you give me an example of how you know this is written in third person?
They
Tell 'em.
fight the mighty caribou.
They fight the mighty caribou. Okay.
They plunge and turn.
They plunge
They-
and turn. Yeah. They.
As he limps.
As he limps. Yeah. So you can kind of tell very quickly in that it's a third person narration. Okay. How old is Rocco? Do we know?
No.
He's young.
He's young. We know that he's a younger member of the pack. So we don't know his exact age, obviously, but we know he's a younger member of the pack. And let's see. Rocco is injured, but he continues to try to defend Kiglo. How can you explain that behavior? What do you know about wolves that might be able to explain that behavior? Johnny?
They know their position and in their family.
Family's the key. Family's the key. And that's going to be the key to the theme of this story as well. Okay?
Loyalty.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Kiglo's the leader of the pack. He's the alpha. Wolves are very family oriented. They're very pack oriented. And this kind of starts to show, and Johnny touched on this, loyalty. Rocco is loyal to Kiglo, to his leader, and to the pack. So one of the things I want to point out, because I think it's really beautiful, is you guys know what imagery is? Yes? Imagery is what? Somebody tell me what imagery is. I know we've had this in our notes. Grace, did you raise your hand?
Yeah.
Imagery.
When you can imagine what's happening or when it's happening.
Yes. Yeah, you're on the right track with that. When you can imagine what's happening, it's words and phrases that appeal to your five senses. So there's a lot of imagery just packed into this first little bit. A lot of imagery. Look at here. And there's a metaphor here in this first one. Wounded wolf climbs Toklat Ridge, a massive spine of rock and ice.
spine. There's
Spine.
There's not really a spine there.
It's not a literal spine. There's not a person laying there with ice sticking out of their back.
It's not like some giant person.
Right,
like
but when you
ice
look at a mountain ridge, doesn't it kind of almost look like, especially certain mountains, they look kind of like bone. They look bony. They look like a spine. You might say a mountain ridge might be the spine of the earth, right? So that's a great metaphor. But a massive spine of rock and ice, and this is where the imagery really kind of takes off. He says, as he limps, dawn strikes the ridge and lights it up with sparks and stars. Have you ever walked out to see the sunrise over after an ice storm or a snowstorm? And it just, everything kind of just sparkles?
No.
Well, you should, because it's amazing. When I lived in Nebraska, we had this massive snowstorm and this massive ice storm. So it wasn't just snow, there was a layer of ice on top of everything. And my dorm room the window of my dorm room looked out over the tennis court. And the tennis court had a very tall chain link fence all the way around. And we had this ice storm. And every part of that hurricane fence, of that chain link fence, was encased in ice. And because the storm had blown through, the sun was shining, but it was still very cold. It was below freezing. So none of that ice had melted. And so the sun was shining on all this snow and ice, and that ice on the chain link fence was blinding. It was sparkling like, like when the light hits a diamond. And it's really cool looking. And so that's kind of the imagery here, is that you've got everything is sparkling because the sun's coming over this snowy ridge. Okay. Now, mood. What is mood?
The
Johnny.
feeling the reader gets from reading a story.
The feeling the reader gets. So, do you guys know what the word impending means? We often use it with the word doom, like there's a sense of impending doom. Impending means something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. We don't know what, but something's about to happen. And that's the mood that we've got here in this very first page. So, what is it that you think, what phrases, what words, what sentences do you think the author, Jean Craighead George, uses in this very first couple of paragraphs to help create that mood of something's going to happen? I don't know what, but there's something coming. Like, what do you think are some things that she does in there? Johnny?
He sees his pack running through.
He sees his pack running through. Okay. Yeah. What else?
Because they could be chasing something or running from something that could attack them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you've definitely got something there. Yeah. There's actually quite a bit in there that's kind of packed in. Okay. We are done for language arts for today. So pack up your stuff, get ready for history, and we'll talk some more about this tomorrow.